I call Ria Bond.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to rise on behalf of New Zealand First and my colleague Barbara Stewart to take the third reading of the Compensation for Live Organ Donors Bill. Mr Speaker, New Zealand First has supported the members Chris Bishop's bill through all passages of this House. This is a bill that had great intentions, although it was drafted by one member, adopted by Minister Woodhouse and then adopted by Mr Bishop. New Zealand First is pleased that this bill did go through to the Select Committee, and we're really pleased that the committee could actually scrutinise this bill and listen to the submitters and take the advice of the expert advisors. And what has come back to the House, and I think we've all said it today, has been a bill that's been more fit for purpose and that can actually, as a members' bill, be to the betterment of citizens here in New Zealand, and that there isn't a penalisation ability also within the bill itself. Mr Speaker, we've heard this afternoon that this bill seeks to address some of the problems of the low rate of organ donors here in New Zealand compared to that of international standards. One barrier that has become a burden on donors has been the financial burden donors have had to suffer with. To be only eligible to receive the sickness benefit and also some childcare assistance, Mr Speaker, has actually been quite shocking when I first learned about this. I know personally myself of people who have donated their kidney, and I do know that their recovery rate was quite different to other people that donate kidneys, Mr Speaker. So I think that the issues with the current system being addressed and worked really hard on by the House Select Committee and those advisors is something that I'm absolutely proud about, and with delivering our call in the House today. As I've just said, Mr Speaker, we know that in this House that recovery time for patients is not a one-size-fits-all persons. They all react differently, and these selfless, amazing, life-saving individuals have not only given a stranger but a donation, but they've also given that person the ability to improve their life. And I absolutely echo what Minister Annette King said earlier, that these people are actually heroes. They are hidden heroes, and they've done such a good job in helping out people here in New Zealand. New Zealand First knows that we have approximately 200,000 people that have been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. Of these, about 2,600 are currently on dialysis, and of that 2,600, there is a waiting list of around 700 citizens desperately seeking and waiting for a kidney transplant. New Zealand does have one of the worst live organ donations rate in the world. The level has remained the same now for 5 years. Sadly, last year there were fewer than 150 kidney transplants here in New Zealand. The Ministry of Health advised the Select Committee that donations from both live and deceased donors is not enough, and this is where this bill can help elevate and encourage live donors to come forward and help a stranger to improve their lives. In the Committee of the Whole House stage, New Zealand First supported the recommendations from the Health Committee to change the title of this bill from the Financial Assistance for Live Organ Donors Bill to Compensation for Live Organ Donors Bill. This was justified because it will provide donors with appropriate compensation for lost income of doing such a selfless act that will have a significant effect on the donor recipient, but also to the donors for making a life-changing decision to help improve a person's life rather than merely providing a perceived financial assistance payment to donors that plays down the significance of this bill. New Zealand First feels that new Clause 3 inserted, the purpose of this Act, is to remove a financial deterrent to the donation of organs by live donors. Mr Speaker, this is absolutely vital. It's vital that live donors should neither be financially disadvantaged or financially advantaged from donating organs. The concerns raised by the Attorney-General with regards to the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act has been taken on board by the Select Committee, who accepted there are beneficiaries who have income and to be entitled to compensation, or people who may have worked part-time, or those receiving New Zealand Super, or a veteran's pension. This clarifies the original concerns raised by the Attorney-General regarding the Bill of Rights Act. New Zealand First does support the cost neutrality of donors by increasing the original compensation rate from 80% to foregone income to 100% of lost income. New Zealand First recognises that there are additional issues that can be quite complex in organ donating, and that will no longer put undue pressure on donors that can and want to donate to be left out of pocket financially, or the risk of losing employment because of pre-transplant needs and post-transplant recovery rates. This will help significantly for those citizens who choose to make the selfless and life-changing choice to donate an organ. It's great we now also have a definition for what are qualifying organs. This was good to see, Mr. Speaker. We think in New Zealand First that it is important to define not only is the donor a person who donates to a person funded by the public health services in New Zealand, but the definition further sets out organs as the whole or a part of any human organs, such as a kidney, liver, or any other organ declared by regulations to be a qualifying organ. We do feel that new clause 29 inserted is the regulation tool in this bill that will provide the Governor-General by order of Council with the recommendations of the Minister of Health to make regulations declaring human organs to be a qualifying organ. It's good to see, Mr. Speaker, that this bill has also been future-proofed for further live donated transplants carried out in other countries, but not yet here in New Zealand. These include small bowel, pancreas and lobular lung transplants. We're pleased to see the Health Committee, has allowed for new entitlements to be backdated for eligible donors to this state. This bill receives a royal assent. This further takes away the deterrent to people who want to donate but hold back on donating an organ. We're also pleased to see the shift of responsibility of this bill from the Ministry of Social Development to the Ministry of Health, Mr. Speaker. This actually made common sense. So in summary, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First supports the member Chris Bishop's bill. This won't, however, deal with the problem of low donor rates here in New Zealand. We believe that common sense changes have been added for the better. However, there is still so much more that we could be doing in New Zealand. I'd like to touch on what other members in the House have also said, so I do apologise that you're hearing this again. The current system here in New Zealand is difficult because the only way that we can register to be a donor is through our driver licences. And we believe that this could have been looked at, and maybe Mr. Bishop may wish to put another member's bill forward in the near future to look at this issue that is a resounding issue in New Zealand. Because we do know, that, as other members have said, that when you tick that box and you become a donor on your driver's licence, your family can actually stop that, and the actual legal issues surrounding that can't actually be enforced, and that causes a lot of grief, as Porter Williams alluded to earlier, and we do believe, Mr. Speaker, that this should be addressed in the future. So, finally, New Zealand First supports this bill because it will enable people who really need help, members of our community, our family and our friends. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.